on YouTube. Thank you very much. And I would ask all my students that they keep all the chats in our MS Teams, because that way it is actually private and not shared with the rest of the world. I will just put on my fancy glasses and we are good to go. So the first thing I want to talk about this week in the podcast is, the first experience, the first week in a completely new environment. And obviously, it does create challenges for everybody, especially for international students that maybe have never been outside their home country, are new to postgraduate study, and particularly postgraduate study in the UK, here in Scotland. The first thing I want to say is, don't worry. I have done it. Lots of people from your home country have done it and are doing it every year. If you set off on the wrong foot, it can be very, very challenging and even disappointing. But if you avoid the common mistakes, then everything should go fine. So, key thing to success in a postgraduate study, especially when you are doing it in a different country from your home country, is that you need to be aware of what is going on. So you should begin with starting to take an interest in how does this work. And it sounds silly, yes, but a lot of people are missing this crucial step and think that I'm here, I have paid, where is my degree? And it does not work that way. Particularly when you look at the many differences between the postgraduate study in the UK and your previous study experience in a different country. You will have very different assessment methods. You will have different assessment criteria, and you will be compared to these assessment criteria. So marking works in the UK completely anonymous. So nobody is marking you up or down for who you are. You're not being marked depending on, does the student agree with what we are saying, or does the student give the correct answer to the question? That's what exams are for. So there is usually very closed-ended questions, yes, no, this, that. But the standard assessment in the UK for postgraduate study in business and management, regardless of whether it's an MA, MSc, or an MBA, are essays, presentation, group work, to basically simulate the situations you will find yourself in at work in a 21st century work environment. Now, there's lots to say about that, which does not belong in today's Hello session, and urging you to do take this serious. Once you get off on the wrong foot, once you fall behind in your study, it is very, very difficult, if not impossible, to catch up. So because we see this is a different story for you than what it was for students before COVID, for example, or students that have grown up in this academic environment, that have gone through high school and an undergraduate study here in the UK. And even for me, I am from Germany, and I experienced a lot of differences between the German education system and the British education system when I came here to do my 2 masters. And more universities recognize the difficulties for international students. And last semester, when I had this discussion with one of my students, I said, many universities don't understand that for you, this starts to be a challenge when you step out of the airport and realize, well, this looks completely different. It's colder, hotter. Well, maybe not hotter in Scotland, but it is completely different. And we can't underestimate the challenges on the mental side that sets student off on a more difficult trajectory. And my role at Edinburgh Napier is partly to help students to stay on that track, to guide them to where is the road to success. It doesn't mean that I am doing things for you, like I said in the induction week, and I'm going to repeat the induction next week for everybody, because not everybody has arrived, not everybody has been to the induction session, but I think this is vital information to make your study a much better experience. So what happens when you get off on the wrong foot and fall behind? Essentially, you will set yourself up to get into trouble. And the list of things how students are getting themselves into trouble is very long, and most of it is absolutely unnecessary. When you, on the other hand, take your study serious, take an interest in your study, and approach this whole experience thinking about, well, how do I make this work? How does this work? How can I be the person to actually fulfill these criteria? What do I have to do? Especially when you are looking at it from the transactional level, like, I'm here, I have paid, now I want my degree. And if you have no deeper interest other than getting this degree in order to get a better paid job back home or here, especially then you need to look at what are the criteria to get that degree, what are the criteria to get good marks, because the competition, not only in one classroom, across all classrooms, the job market is global now. And surprising or not, organizations hire purely for the skill. That is it. And I also recommend to students never to get hired for any other reason other than their skills. So that is me almost done for this week. Thank you very much for stopping by. Good luck with your studies, and see you next week on the podcast.